High spots and cheap pumps. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back once again. This is Silicon Steve Valley. On the other side, we got and we are talking the world of professional wrestling or sports entertainment. And we are going to preview and make our first picks of this quarter's challenge for the Purple Nurple. That's right. We're going to do our picks for Extreme Rules. Some really awesome matches coming up. Kind of excited myself. Will Bray Wyatt show up? We don't know. We're going to talk about that. And Tony Khan continuing to lose seemingly any control of this locker room. You almost feel like Chris Jericho is kind of running it right now, at least creatively. But we're going to get into Dynamite. And I just brought that up just to throw a little bit of a pin right at you, VLADI, because we know how much you've been loving Chris Jericho as of late. But let's get into it. VLADI, how are you this evening? And what's going on in the world of wrestling in your eyes?
Hey, I'm doing great. It's great to be back here tonight. And what I'm looking forward to is Extreme Rules here. We're going to do our picks shortly. And then also we're coming off of pretty eventful Dynamite. And you know what? We're like, there's quite a few things going on. And it's going to be good to talk about it here tonight.
Absolutely. So we're going to start with AEW Dynamite, if you don't mind, or would you like to do the picks? What do you do first?
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind, I got the picks out. I'd have to look up the.
You know what?
Yeah.
That sounds like just a good enough reason. I'm not going to edit that out anyway. And we are going to open this show up with Extreme Rules predictions. VLADI, you have gotten the Purple Nurple back. You are now the reigning champion after, I think you beat me by 4 matches. You had me beat going into the final weekend, which had 2 pay-per-views nonetheless. Congratulations, but it is now my time to take my title back.
It's your time. You have to really prove yourself here. I mean, I'm not messing around. So,
my time is your time is up. My time is now. Your time is up. My time is now. I'm a franchise in the sucker.
So here in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, the home of ECW, we have none other than WWE Extreme Rules. Interesting card, no tribal chief, but they have some intriguing matches on here so far. Plenty of gimmicks for sure. And one of those gimmick matches, let's start off with, is none other than a Donnybrook match between Imperium and the Brawling Brutes. You want me to go or you want to go?
I will actually, because I didn't do my picks prior, like a dope. So I'm going to come out on a fly. So I should go first.
Okay.
Because you already wrote your picks down and you're a man of honor.
Yes, I am.
So I will go first.
Okay.
I like to say the Imperium, but I have a feeling the Brawling Brutes are going to get this opportunity. Gunther is not going to take the loss. It'll be one of the other guys. Probably the first little guy that he used to beat up and gets disappointed in. He's probably going to get the loss. I think the Brutes get a little bit of a rub here. They get the win. Sheamus deserves it. That faction was really kind of a jack-off faction when it started. That faction has become a pretty good force on WWE on Friday nights at SmackDown. I think they get the win here.
I totally agree with you. It is a Donnybrook match. It's their match. And Gunther is definitely not going to job here. This is one way to sort of empower the Brutes a bit, let them get a little bit of a victory over Imperium. And then I think there is going to be another match between Gunther and Sheamus coming up soon as well. So either which way, whatever happens in that match, most likely I would think Gunther would win. But just even more reason for me to think that the Brutes are going to win this match. So, Sheamus is going to get a little bit of the spotlight in this one for sure.
By the way, Butch kind of is looking now like the bruiserweight once again. So
yeah,
Triple H letting guys do what they want to do, which I'm really liking that. Again, the little things that Triple H just eased off on. You got to love.
It's amazing how much Butch resembles Pete Dunne.
Yeah, it really does.
It's uncanny. Really does.
He has shorter hair, I noticed.
Yes. So we have the next match. I'm just random order here. they have the leather strap match between
Ooh.
Karrion Kross. Ooh, yeah, look at you. And Drew McIntyre.
I don't think Cross loses his first pay-per-view match. I think he wins this one. Gets the rub.
Yeah.
Drew McIntyre just fought for the title, so he still has a little bit of momentum. He can suffer the loss and still get over. He'll probably win by cheating in some kind of weird way. Maybe
Yes.
Scarlett does like a Miss Elizabeth thing from first SummerSlam.
That or another misused fireball. I don't know if you caught that on SmackDown a few weeks back.
I thought he handled it well.
Yeah.
He didn't go out of his way. He didn't sell the fireball.
Right.
So you got to give that's a veteran move by Drew McIntyre. A younger wrestler would have been like, "Oh my god, my fucking eye!" You know, like the one dude who was beating Cody Rhodes from the Dark Order.
Yeah. Those great punches. Yeah.
Cody Rhodes was selling him though, or not Cody Rhodes. Dustin Rhodes was selling him.
Yeah. So I totally agree with this. This is Karrion Kross's coming out party here in Philly. And I would assume that his better half will be involved in the win there, and they'll get over. So then after that, I have the I Quit match between Finn Balor and Edge.
I believe Mr. Balor goes over. First, we heard rumors about it, how Finn Balor's getting the big push. The big push. I don't think this is going to deter that. I think he gets a big win. We'll look for one of two things, and this is what I think is going to happen. Beth Phoenix tries to get involved somehow, and Rhea Ripley gets her in a compromising position, and Edge has to submit to save his wife.
I love that. Yeah, you brought that up, and I love that idea.
Book it, Dano.
Yeah. And you think there's any chance with AJ Styles' actions towards Rey Mysterio the other night that he might be doing a little bit of a heel turn, or it was a little bit weird what was going on there?
I think he might even turn into the back to Judgment Day, to be honest with you.
Yeah, like that's where I was thinking. Like this, maybe he gets involved and makes Edge quit as well. So I like your idea a lot better. If I was Triple H and we both know he's listening, I would do that.
Yeah, I mean, my idea was definitely
Much
makes sense. You protect Edge.
Oh yeah.
AJ Styles, I think that's going to be a little bit more of a slow burn, but I think he will eventually turn heel. Yeah. AJ's very stagnant right now, but I don't really like AJ playing second or third, or really maybe even fourth fiddle in a faction.
All right.
I mean, who would he be above? Oh, they would know when everyone would be equal. You need a star. You need a top guy.
Yeah,
everyone needs that top guy.
Yeah, I like shit. What's the big guy's name again? The in Judgment Day. I keep on thinking
Karrion Kross and Damian Priest. I always got confused.
I was thinking Punishment. I was thinking about his ROH name, Punishment Martinez. I'm sorry, you said his name again.
Let's just call him Punishment Martinez. No. Damian Priest.
Yeah, Damian Priest. I like him, and I like Ripley.
Guy's been Damian Priest for like 7 years, dude.
Yeah. Well, not 7 years. I mean, he was in NXT for a couple of years for sure. But
but he was Damian Priest then, wasn't he?
Yeah, in NXT, yeah.
And then he's been up on the main roster for another 3 years.
I'm sorry, I'm human. We're gonna let it slide.
I couldn't remember Deonna Purrazzo's name for the life of me, and I met her.
All right, and you were wrestling school with her.
No. We didn't go to school. She was already well.
Oh, and already over.
She was already
okay. Yeah. So I'm with you as well. We got Balor and Balor there.
So far, we are on the same page.
Yeah. Let me ask you this before we go further. Which match do you think might be the main event here? I don't think I've mentioned one yet.
I would assume. See, I wouldn't want to see Riddle and Rollins be the headliner because it's in that stupid cage.
That's what I'm thinking might be the main event.
Well, what are the women matches? We haven't had any women matches.
Right. So ladder match for the Raw Women's Championship. We've got Bayley versus Bianca Belair, which could perhaps steal the show.
I think that will steal the show. And quite frankly, does Triple H have the balls to make this the main event? Bianca Belair has proven to be one of the top female wrestlers and wrestlers in general. on the planet. Bayley having her first opportunity. It's a ladder match. That should be your main event. I don't know if Triple H has the balls to do it. If he does do it, it is definitely a brand new ballgame because, McMahon didn't do that too often. He did it with their one WrestleMania just to do it.
Yeah.
But
to see him open and inclusive. But with this, I think Bianca could steal the show, man. And then Bayley, like, helping her through that match, it could be magical. Really could. Maybe my expectations are a little bit too high for it, but it's one of the ones I'm really looking forward to.
I'm a huge fan of both of them. I think they're both outstanding.
Yeah.
What Bianca does physically in the ring is just, I've never seen anybody with that skill set all mixed together. Yep. I mean, she really is the EST. That's no bullshit.
She is. 100%. If you don't mind, I'll go first. Be fair about it. I'm going with Bayley.
Oh, I was going to go with Bayley as well.
Okay.
Because I don't think she can afford to lose her first big match.
The other thing is, too, is I think they're going to want to put all those belts on Damage Control, just to have those optics.
Yeah,
it's my thinking. That's another reason I went with that route.
I like Toxic Attraction more.
Yeah.
Mandy.
Yeah.
Gigi Dolan. You know what? She looks just like Priscilla Kelly.
Yeah, it's like Butch and Pete Dunne. So the next women's match, it's an Extreme Rules match for the SmackDown Women's Championship between Liv Morgan and Ronda Rousey.
I think Rousey wins. I think the fans have really taken to her. And you know what? To her credit, dude, she's gotten better on the mic. I still haven't seen a great match yet, but what she's doing now is she's selling more. She's not being carried by everybody. She's starting to actually get halfway decent at this wrestling thing. So with that, and the crowd seems like they're into her, and it's more organic opposed to forced. So I'm going to say Liv Morgan loses this one.
I agree with you 100%. And I didn't want to say it and tip you off, but another reason I picked Bayley and even Rousey in this is that you have the season premieres for these shows for Raw and SmackDown the week following Extreme Rules. So what looks better for Fox and SmackDown than Ronda Rousey coming out there as the new anointed women's champion?
Yeah, it's the smart play, and you know what? She paid the price. She's busted her ass. She's worked pretty much since she came back.
Yep.
She's gained the respect of the fans, including myself, and that's what needed to happen.
Yeah. And you were tough on her too.
Well, I wasn't tough on her. I was tough on the idea that that they were putting her off as somebody who can actually do this correctly and be entertaining with it, because she couldn't.
Yeah.
But she's working her ass off. She's gotten better.
Yeah.
Is she still a top 10 in-ring talent? No. I doubt she ever will, because I don't think she loves it enough. I don't know, but I don't see the passion with this as you would say Kurt Angle or Brock Lesnar or whomever else you want to talk about.
The pizza guy.
That's just all I'm saying. But I'm glad that she's doing great, and I'm because I don't know her. She's probably a really nice, awesome person. So I'm glad that she put in the time and the effort. She wasn't handed a title reign. She had to earn this one, and she organically built a very good vibe. And now she's also flirting with having a faction with Shayna Baszler.
Yeah.
So you're starting to add these other things. And this is the kind of thing that you love to see. Something we've already talked about. That's the funny part. How many times did we say something a year, 2-3 years earlier? All you would hear about with VLADI would text me, they should put the Usos at Roman. I don't know why they don't put the Usos at Roman. Call it the Bloodline. Like literally texts. Turn him heel and give him the Usos. It was like, I mean, everyone said to turn Roman Reigns heel. We weren't the only ones. And I'm sure we weren't the only ones. You weren't the only one that said to go with the Usos. But these are things that a lot of people think would be a good idea. That it would entertain them and they want to see. And Vince wouldn't pull the trigger on certain things unless he had to. Triple H is vibing it. He's like, okay, we're going to do that now.
Yeah. And I think that'll play into this, the winner of this match. So, and then the final match that we are getting to is what do they call the fight pit match with Riddle and Rollins.
They might close with that one because
they really promoted the hell out of it, almost like it's a Hell in a Cell.
And also, did you see what they're going to do? The ring is going to come up higher. They're going to raise the ring, and the pit will be underneath the ring.
There you go.
That's wild.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't be like, because I think of one of those matches, I always think of, those old ones with, the Lions Den matches with Shamrock, or even the one with Wardlow and Jake Hager back in the day. They always were kind of lame and stupid. I couldn't stand them. Is this going to be like an MMA style match?
Yeah, I'd say somewhat, and then with some higher spots, which with Rollins, you would expect him to do something special. Even Riddle, because they're sort of making this Riddle's match now.
Yeah, but that's irrelevant to me because Seth Rollins is going to win this match.
Interesting. I am going with Riddle.
Oh, baby. I am becoming the biggest Seth Rollins mark, and mark my words, he walks out beating that charlatan, that Ne'er Goodwin. What do they call it? Ne'er-do-well. He's a ne'er-do-well. That's who Matt Riddle is. He's a ne'er-do-well. And I think Seth Rollins wins it because he made fun of his family not being around.
Well, I'm going the Riddle because I think this will be the way to get him at least one over with Rollins, where they basically will be even Steven, I guess, in this feud, right?
Oh, did they already wrestle?
I thought they did, right?
No.
They don't have one match together before this.
They might have, but it wasn't in this little series. I don't think they did. They were supposed to at SummerSlam, but Riddle was hurt and he couldn't do it.
What about Clash of the Castle?
Did he fight him there?
Or do they just show up and they beat each other up?
I don't think they wrestled. But let's see this. There's probably some asshole out there now like, oh, idiots.
Yeah, they're really calling out our expertise here at this moment. Either way, I'm still going with Riddle. You're going with Rollins. And then amongst this all, I mean, one of the things that's looming here is the infamous White Rabbit.
What are you talking about?
The White Rabbit, QR codes, all that good stuff?
No, I want to find out if they wrestled before. You got to give me a second here, pal.
It should have been done in pre-production between us.
I didn't know we were going to. Well, I mean, I didn't know they wrestled. I don't think they wrestled, though. They may have.
I thought they wrestled once and Rollins went over.
I think you're right. Yes, Clash of the Castle. Seth Rollins defeated Matt Riddle. That might change my mind.
Too late.
Okay. No, I think Seth Rollins is getting poised for either a championship match or a championship run. So that's my thinking. And even though you have Daniel Cormier there, babyface usually wins in those situations. Like Walter Payton wasn't going to hold up Jeff Jarrett's hand or whoever the frig he wrestled. It was Diesel. Bad guy Diesel. It was when Diesel was a bad guy. And Sweetness
Mike
helped
Tyson.
him out.
Mike Tyson with Stone Cold.
Yeah, anytime there's a special guest, that unless it's a dick.
Yeah.
If it was a comedic actor, maybe, like Jon Stewart or the dude who played Archer.
Yeah.
Whatever his name is, Steve Amell. Is that his name?
Yeah.
Steve Amell.
Yeah.
Who did he wrestle at All Out? I forget who.
I forget as well.
All In. I'm sorry, the first one. All right, well, we're getting a little off the page here. I do apologize. But I'm going to still stick with Seth Rollins because I do believe he's going to have a chance. He's going to get a crack at Roman because he's one of two guys I could see beating Roman other than The Rock.
Mm-hmm. Oh, definitely. I got a feeling he's going to lose to Riddle and then beat Lashley for the U.S. belt.
All right. And then, of course, he's going to have to feud with Cody when he comes back. Now, are they going to feud over the U.S. title? And that's what we're doing with Cody?
I'm not sure. But before we get to that, the White Rabbit is supposed to be arriving.
Did you just say Wabbit?
White Rabbit is supposed to be arriving.
One pill makes you smarter. Another pill makes you tall.
Where do you think?
Where do you think
this arrives? Where do you think he might show up at the show?
I don't know. They've told me he was showing up like 3 other times. But I don't know, Vladi Dottie. Have you actually done the QR code thing yet?
I've seen people do the QR code.
I did the QR code. And the QR code this past week was very difficult. It blipped on the screen for less than a second.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like less than a second. Like, and it was a picture. And it's an interesting picture. If you go to the QR code, I didn't hear a lot of people talking about this. You go to the QR code. It takes you to this picture.
You're going to really edit it in?
I'm going to edit it in, yeah.
All right, excellent.
It's just going to be a picture of CM Punk. If you go to the QR code, you get this video played right here. Fucking children. I'm fucking old. I'm tired. I'm fucking hurt. And I work with fucking children.
Mother's bank account.
Kenny Omega has a small dick. That's just the way it is. Tony Khan.
So what's the picture?
Oh, the picture was of like a mother cuddling a son.
Samson and Delilah, man. And Alexa Bliss had a similar picture posted back when her and the Fiend went awry.
There's the QR code. I literally took a picture of it from my TV, and then I used my wife's phone to scan the QR code. Oh. I wonder if that would work. Go ahead, scan it.
Did you hear what I just said about what it is?
I thought it was about like wanting to bang your mom or something.
Okay, so you didn't hear what I just said.
No, you said, and yes, I did. It's Samson and Delilah, and then we have a situation where Alexa Bliss had a similar photo when they went astray.
Exactly.
That it did. That's what it kind of reminded me of. It's just like all these different clues to these past parts of his character. It's been great. And the internet buzz they've done has been great. And he's coming back. And it's exciting because I think we all missed Bray Wyatt. The guy is such a creative, beautiful talent. And it's exciting. And look, this is almost Jericho-esque. If anyone remember, I might even be cooler. But the build and the hype about what was going on with that countdown, and no one knew what it was. We kind of had an idea getting close to the time, but they were doing that for weeks. And Jericho showed up, and it was that kind of buzz. This almost goes beyond that.
It definitely goes beyond it. WWE actually hired a writer from Marvel for long-term storytelling. And I'd be foolish not to say, as I follow this guy on Instagram, and one of the reasons I ended up following him is because when he got married, Wyndham Rotunda was at his wedding. They're friends.
Yes.
And it's like all this leads back to Bray Wyatt, Wyndham Rotunda, whatever form he's coming back. So here this guy is making his initial impression on the WWE. And the other thing is, too, this guy is actually a wrestling fan. He definitely has a very creative mind. And this is like really positive for them looking towards the future. This is something that Vince never did. Would have never even considered. Like
You got Dewey Foley in there.
Like last week, you even mentioned like what the last two WrestleManias were just thrown together just weeks before they came about. We didn't even know what we were going to talk about. And now it seems like the stage is being set even above and beyond that. So you have somebody like this. This guy's name is Rob Fee, and he's doing a hell of a job. He's got a lot of buzz going. It's really cool.
All right. Well, it's going to be interesting. And obviously, that's just another point that we are going to see Bray Wyatt. The question is, are we going to see him at Extreme Rules? That's been the rumor. VLADI, put you on the spot. Are we going to see Bray Wyatt make his return in 2 days' time?
I think you're going to see some sort of form of him in terms of be it on the screen or something like that, where it's going to be like confirming it's him, but he might not actually be there in person. And then I would say for the big Raw or SmackDown, where it's like a big ratings thing, where it's like basically signaling you like, holy crap, he's back. And then you're going to want to watch one of those two shows and see where he might pop up. I mean, when I look at this card, the only match that makes sense to me for him to return is Riddle versus Rollins, because of the whole Hell in a Cell situation with Rollins and The Fiend. I mean, that was a turning point in The Fiend's history right there. So I got a feeling that might be where we might see him in some way or another, but I don't think we're going to actually see Bray Wyatt physically walk out there and do something to Rollins.
I have a question. I don't know if it was as much of a turning point for The Fiend as much as it was for Rollins.
I thought it made The Fiend look weak.
Well, he kept on coming back. I thought it made him look ridiculous. He was hit with a sledgehammer and he got up.
Yeah, it's true. But
he got hit with like 5 stomps.
Yeah. But I remember the referee had to stop the match.
Yeah.
And that's where it was like,
because they didn't want to take the title off of Rollins just yet.
Yeah.
And they couldn't come up with a better booking situation.
Yeah.
And Rollins said he hated it. And then there was a little tweet from Bray Wyatt saying, wait do people hear what I thought of it?
Yeah. That would be great.
Obviously, that was a horrible booking decision. It was one of the worst booking decisions of McMahon's latter part of his career. Yeah. And there were a lot of those. To be honest. And so at that point, I think it was definitely for Seth Rollins. He went from being the big babyface that people loved to having go away heat, trying to be a babyface. And then he had to start laughing and wearing ridiculous clothes.
Yeah. It was funny because we were talking about how he did that interview and he wasn't laughing and he was like almost like it was a lot more like likable, if you will. And then I turned on Raw and it took all 1.5 seconds before he's like laughing in the microphone uncontrollably again.
He made me laugh because his delivery while he's saying these things, like I didn't think it was going to make me laugh, but when he was kind of laughing and being jovial about how he's not going to be able to see his family, that made me laugh. I have to be honest with you. He made some joke about how, don't forget to kiss your children goodbye tomorrow. Oh, that's right. You can't see them. Dick.
Riddle's winning.
It was funny. Like if he says something that's a real jerk off thing to say, and then he starts laughing, it's kind of funny.
Yeah, versus just killing airtime with it and dead air.
Like, I'm gonna beat you at the match. like a really bad Batman character.
Exactly. That's what he reminds me of.
But when he says something like a dick and he just laughs at the joke because it was such a dick comment,
Yeah.
Seth
That's the way
Rollins,
to
this
use it.
character won me over a little bit this past Monday night. I have to be honest with you. And by the way, he's still by far the best wrestler in WWE, so he's okay with my book.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a big Seth Rollins mark once again,
That's
even with the laughing.
It's
Sorry.
understandable. Yeah, it's just like I prefer like him not doing like, we're gonna outsmart Commissioner Gordon once again. Versus, yeah, that's the difference.
He's got to start being just saying really dick things to say.
Yeah.
Or just do something diabolical and then laugh. Don't laugh at the stupid jokes or just when you're finishing a sentence.
Right.
But either way, I'm a big Seth Rollins fan. I love what the guy's doing. And, I like that he has a chip on his shoulder. That was a great interview with Ariel Helwani. I don't know if you were able to hear some of it. And there's a little bit still that chip on his shoulder. That's why I think he's a guy that you could really make a strong argument for. Because look, the reality is what Cody did was amazing in that Hell in the Cell, but what Seth Rollins did to make that match what it was, Seth Rollins carried a lot of that match.
Yeah.
And he protected Cody where Cody couldn't hurt himself anymore.
Yeah.
So Seth Rollins, not only putting the guy over 3 times, Seth Rollins deserves a world of credit for making Cody look like $1 million because when Cody wrestled The Miz or anybody who's either C quality wrestler or less, Cody doesn't have good matches.
Yep.
And Rollins made him look like $1 million.
Yeah, I agree with that, man. So yeah, man, that's what we got for WWE Extreme Rules, right?
All right. We now turn to the other side of professional wrestling. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for VLADI'S Dynamite review. He may be wrong. He may be right. It's VLADI'S Dynamite. He may be wrong. He may be right, but it's VLADI'S Dynamite review.
He's going to shit on it.
He's going to shit on it. Which I am fully prepared for this because Jericho is in the main event again, and you hate Chris Jericho.
You know what? Let me see here. I did not hate this Dynamite by any means. I'll say that. We're
a step further, TK. Great job. Any drama happening with Dynamite's been quiet, huh?
You know what? I didn't get a chance to check out TMZ or anything, so I'm not aware of anything really that might have drawn some eyes to this product. But they led off, of all things, in Washington, actually. Wheeler Yuta versus MJF, one of my favorite wrestlers right now, of course.
Wheeler Yuta, absolutely.
Oh, he is tremendous, that guy. So full of charisma.
Very good wrestler.
But you know what? Here's what I'm really realizing about Yuta, because I'm making no secret of my feelings about MJF in the ring. I really like his style. I think he's a very good professional wrestler, right? What I realized with Yuta, he's one of these guys who basically reflects who he's in the ring with. Somebody like MJF, it's a pretty good match with Yuta. If he's in the ring with somebody else that maybe I'm not so crazy about, or I'm not crazy about their style, I'm like, I want to fast forward through it.
Yeah, Cody's like that. Cena's like that. Miz is like that.
Very much so. So pretty decent match. And of course, MJF wins. And then we were talking about this in pre-production, where sort of an odd situation where you have MJF almost flirting with a slight face turn, where Yuta is looking for a handshake at the end of the match, sign of respect. And then you had, was it Moriarty came out and
Lee Moriarty, yes.
Yeah, went and attacked Yuta from behind, basically, probably starting some heat between those two. And Hathaway's there. What was weird was I thought it was strange that Hathaway was almost talking down to, like, getting into like MJF's face.
I saw that too. Very aggressive. You got to do that. Now they could be hyping each other up. If you know their history, they've been business partners for a long time in other proportions like MLW. I don't know. I'll have to watch it back. I don't know if it was like hyping him up or was it definitely talking down to him, but I thought it was a little aggressive and a lot more so than you would expect MJF to accept being talked to.
Right. And also, why would Hathaway feel it's necessary to bring an apple to the ring and eat an apple at that moment? It's strange.
He did that.
Yeah, he's eating an apple and he's like trying to give him the ring. Yeah,
That is fucking weird.
right.
Why would you
I
pick
can't-
that spot?
Yeah, I can't explain it. It's like hey, I'm going to be this nonchalant, and then sort of talk to MJF like that. It distracted me a little bit too. So yeah, overall, again, and then Regal comes out, sort of brings out the brass knuckles, has a little bit of a standoff with MJF. And I got to ask too, like when we have situations like this with the Blackpool Combat Club, why is it like nobody, like all of them don't run out to protect each other? It's like one of them, it's like it sort of half-asses it.
Well, Danielson just had wrestled.
Well, he was in the main event.
Yeah. So maybe that's why he was getting ready for the match. You could say that. I'm not saying that's a good
okay.
reason, but I'm saying you could say that.
Yeah, but Claudio,
Was he there?
I don't know. And if he's not, why? Like if the Blackpool Combat Club is, maybe he should be there. Mox, for instance, just it's nothing major, but just something I noticed that's kind of reoccurring. Like if we're playing the numbers game, Blackpool Combat Club can't add.
Yeah, I mean, I guess Regal was enough. Regal was there to be his backup, and Regal was able to save the day, and it was fine. So I guess that's what they were thinking. You could save it that way.
Yeah, I guess. And then Regal, of course, was there to save the announcing. It's tremendous.
You beautiful little cherry muffin.
So
Give
after
us a kiss, darling.
So, and by the way, MJF was also upset with Moriarty attacking Yuta from behind. Said, "Hey, I didn't tell you to do that." Like, got in his face.
Yes.
It was interesting. Very interesting.
It looks, I mean, we've heard rumors because he's so over. I mean, half the crowd still loves MJF. He's to the point, he's such a great heel. People love him, just like The Rock. If anyone remembers, right before Rock didn't have a moment where he was a babyface. The fans started cheering him. Famously, almost had not a double turn, but almost turned babyface when he gave the people's elbow to Triple H. The crowd went absolutely insane. Madison Square Garden. And it was just one of those moments. Yeah. I believe it was at Madison Square Garden or was in New Jersey. But it was just one of those moments where you saw the crowd absolutely loving what The Rock was doing, even though he was one of the top heels in the company. It was SummerSlam 98.
Mm-hmm.
And at that moment, the crowd continued to cheer him. So then they had him go up against heels instead.
Right.
And so then he became one of the biggest baby faces other than Austin. And then they had that brilliant turn at the following Survivor Series where he turned heel until the following May. So that's the point where MJF is. Austin, the same thing. People, when these guys are just so beloved because they're so good at being dicks, you have no choice but to turn them babyface. I mean, even Ric Flair had to turn babyface. It happens.
Yeah.
The great heels have to have that. Now, and MJF can pull it off too, but I really like heel MJF.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm not ready for babyface MJF at this moment.
And he also was talking about how he was going to be the biggest demon in Jon Moxley's life.
Yeah.
Is there a chance MJF, with that respect from Wheeler Yuta, is there a chance he tries to do the same thing that he did with Inner Circle?
Oh, or basically he turns them.
I can't see anybody in Blackpool Combat Club buying it his bullshit, though.
Yeah, like we've seen this playbook before.
And you know Jon Moxley's not.
Yeah.
You know Brian Danielson ain't. They're not going to get duped by some 26-year-old douche.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's very interesting to me. I think that's an interesting take on it. It could be something that they're teasing just to have it not happen, and then he's going to be the devil that he says he is.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, maybe he's just overcome by the evil that he's emitting, and there you go. He's going to be that guy, hopefully. So I was going to go to the next match here on Dynamite, and we had Darby Allin versus Jay Lethal. Okay match. Wasn't blown away by it, but a couple things irritated me about this, right? Right. So and this is where to me, Tony Khan's got to go sit down with his producers and be like, you guys need to discuss what you're doing in each other's matches. Because for some reason, and I didn't mind it, in the MJF and Yuta match, you had a bunch of false finishes, right? Going back and forth, back and
Yes.
forth. The referee, well, you know what? Shit, the next match that happened between Darby Allin and Jay Lethal, we saw the same damn thing.
Was it really literally the same thing, or was it a different kind of flip and flop?
Different kind, yeah, different kind flip and flop, but a bunch of false finishes. And then I'll take it up a notch. For whatever reason, Darby felt it was necessary to get a handshake at a Jay Lethal. Much like,
what is this Ring of Honor, or is it AEW, for Christ's sake?
Like, why was it necessary for Darby's character to go and get that from Jay Lethal at that moment after MJF and Yuta just did it in the match before?
It was Excalibur alluded to it in the following match, which is Wardlow and Brian Cage. He alluded to it being the code of honor, but it's AEW.
Exactly.
What the fuck?
It's not Ring of Honor. It's AEW. And not only that, it is the 3rd anniversary show of AEW's Dynamite.
And the main event was Ring of Honor.
Yes.
Centric.
100%. So yeah, this is,
it's like Tony Khan's, he's sabotaging his creation and making Ring of Honor the mainstay.
He has a Ring of Honor invasion going on in his head right now, and he's losing that battle.
He doesn't even know it.
He's like, I think they're invading me. Whoa, they're definitely invading me.
I don't think he's on coke.
Adderall.
Maybe. Needs to focus.
He's over-focused.
He clearly likes dorky things.
It's like numbers and Star
talking
Wars.
Shit on wrestlers all of a sudden. This is a new thing.
So then let's go to what might have been the best match of the night. TNT Championship. Wardlow versus Brian Cage. Two monsters of massive men going at it here. Muscular, strong, athletic. I mean, honestly, this is what you want in a wrestling show, right?
This was such a good match for two big men. This is one of the best big men matches you'll ever see. They're acting like cruiserweights earlier in the match, but they both pull off these real grandiose feats of strength as well. Obviously, Brian Cage with that great vertical suplex from the outside, where he actually takes Wardlow from the outside all the way from the second rope. And then, of course, you have the Powerbomb Symphony, but you also have that ridiculous moonsault that Wardlow hit.
Yep.
You have a couple of hurricanranas. I mean, these guys went to it. The crowd absolutely loved it. Brian Cage got a great reaction. It was good to see, because you talk about underutilized people in AEW. Brian Cage is to be right up on top. But Wardlow is continues to be over like Rover. I thought this was a really good momentum get a recovery of some momentum that Wardlow may have lost in some shitty booking and shitty appearance. I don't even know what's been going on. This was a really good match to get Wardlow front and center. Everybody, he's still a big dog here. He's still the TNT champion, and he's doing very well. I thought it was very good. And then the aftermatch stuff, I liked it.
Yeah. You had the NBC comes out with what were they refer to themselves? What's the tag team name again? The Gates of Eternity,
Gates of Hell, Gates of Pain, Gates of.
How's that fit on the T-shirt? Silicon City Valley.
You get it on a T-shirt any way you can, sir.
So
Gates of Agony.
Gates of Agony.
So kind of Gates of Pain. I mean, come on.
Yeah. So they come out, and then of course Samoa Joe comes out, because evidently Wardlow and Samoa Joe are twosome now. And
Warjoe,
there you go. And they refer to them as such. And as the embassy gained an upper hand, if you want to see a pop in professional wrestling, go to that point in the match and all you see is the first few chords being hit, and that visual coming on for FTR, and that place erupts.
Yeah.
Just
and
for
if Tony
them,
Khan doesn't need anything more proof than that, it was right in front of his face.
it was incredible. Like, I don't understand. Like, he doesn't realize how much time he's lost, and even ratings with these. Like, if you want old school, like, professional wrestling fans to tune in and see these guys, they're gonna be like, my God, these guys remind us of all the people that you and I have respected as we grew up, right? And they do it justice. And these guys can go and really promote this product well. I mean, make tag team wrestling great again, really. And it was just great to see that. But let me just say one thing. I'll say the one thing that I'll say, not even FTR related here, in terms of this cage match with Wardlow. The thing that bothered me about it was, like, there's like little to no build up. It just, hey, we're wrestling to wrestle, right? And then they show you the initial promo at the embassy. Whoever their manager is, when he's singing "We're in the money, we're in the money." I don't know if you caught that part of it. I hated that. And like Cage is like sort of like,
Yeah, Cage didn't like it either.
and I'm just like, why? Like, how did that actually make the air? Like, who is producing that segment and said, yeah, that's good, let's keep that in?
Yeah.
It was so like independent wrestling. I would see that in Broadway Rec Center or something.
Yeah. I mean, that's a lot of what AEW is right now, because he gives a lot of wrestlers carte blanche, and he has so many wrestlers. Well, not all of them know how to be ready.
Yeah. And that was the thing. Like, but other than that part of it, man, yeah, that was a really good segment. Love the pop for FTR, and then what, they're going to be on live. Either was it Rampage or the Battle.
They're going to be on
Belts.
tonight.
Yeah.
On Battle of the Belts,
which is
Gates
live.
of Agony will challenge FTR for the Ring of Honor Championship.
Yeah, and that should be, from the looks, those other guys are pretty big. They look athletic. And if anybody can make anybody look great, it's FTR. So I imagine this is going to be a good match here.
And they're coming off another brilliant match against Aussie Open. I still haven't got a chance to watch it. I'm not sure if it's available on New Japan Pro Wrestling World yet. However, Dax went on Twitter shortly after saying he's more proud of that match than any of the matches he's had this year. Both Briscoes, Young Bucks, and a couple of other just classic matches he's had. He's having one of the best years. He's got to be he might be a top 5 wrestler of the year when it's all said and done. Dax Harwood. Cash Wheeler would be up there too if Tony Khan let him wrestle.
Exactly. 100% right, man. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that tonight for sure. Next match we got is the trios match, where we had Toni Storm, Athena, who honestly I can't stand. She irritates me at this point. And Willow Nightingale. Again,
I love Willow Nightingale.
I know you're a fan of hers.
I friggin' love her. Love the energy. I love the fact doesn't look like your traditional superstar. She's going out there full of positivity, full of charisma, making it happen. This is the kind of stuff that AEW needs to get them to the top. Willow Nightingale. Boom.
That she'll add another 300,000 viewers per night.
I think she's fantastic. I'm being dead serious. So you can suck it, sir. She got the big win. I thought it was a fairly entertaining match. I thought it did more for their women's division than most of the things they've done recently.
That's not saying a lot.
It's still saying something.
Well, we've been saying something.
And Saraya gets into her first physical altercation. I thought for their women's division, I thought this was a good segment.
The reason I was at all interested was because of Jamie Hayter.
And that's the other part about it. She is so beloved by the crowd, so over. Just have tone. And is it another person just like Chris Statler? He wasted time and then she got hurt.
Yeah. And
is it going to be another situation where Tony doesn't take advantage of the momentum a wrestler builds? He does that often.
As I was watching it on DVR, I texted you. As soon as Shivani acknowledged the response that Jamie Hayter, he was like, here he is on live TV. He's like, oh man, the crowd really loves Hayter. Something like that line. And I'm like, there you go. You're one of the producers. Start talking to Tony about this, Shivani.
Hey, Tony, I don't know if you hear that, buddy, but they really love Hayter.
You're that.
You should probably turn her baby face. What you think, buddy?
Buddy, those are dollars.
And what happened to JR? Was he stuck? What happened? Was he stuck in Florida, or is he not there? Did they put him on the bench?
He almost seems like he might be on the bench.
Even Renee Paquette talked about that FTR pop.
So luckily, I don't have to fill out paperwork.
Fantastic news, everybody.
Yeah.
So Renee Paquette also, by the way, mentioned that FTR pop. It's by the way, is AEW tickets selling well? I didn't see a lot of people. If you looked up in the upper portion of the arena, I didn't see anybody.
They're not selling well.
Not a good sign, Tony.
Yeah, the crowd is no longer traveling either. Like even like what I saw for this Toronto show that's coming up, it's like one of the smaller venues in Toronto. Not a good sign, as you said.
It's not. You want bigger venues.
Yeah.
He's got to be losing a shitload of money at this point.
It's just bleeding it out. So hey, I gotta go and we gotta talk about this next thing, the next segment, which even with my critical views of AEW, this to me might have been one of the best segments they've ever had on their show.
Wow. High praise.
Yeah.
Are you talking about the Jade Cargill promo when?
Oh yeah, that was just tremendous with your girl.
It was typical Jade Cargill promos though. Yeah. She's a little stale right now too, to be honest with you.
Just a little.
I like Jade. She hasn't had any good challengers. They just put people in front of her for her to beat. No storylines.
So, National Scissoring Day with the Acclaimed, to me, was one of the best segments I've seen on AEW ever. The way the crowd reacted to it, the way Bowens and Caster handled it, the way Gunn played it, even the smart Mark Sterling could not ruin it. Honestly.
How about like, Brandy Rhodes?
What about?
Could she ruin it?
Oh, yeah, I guess so. But overall, this was something that was to me reminiscent of the Attitude Era. As far as the energy, as far as Bowens can really cut a promo.
Absolutely.
Caster can cut a promo. They talk from the heart. This is what you want professional wrestling to do. And like basically, this is the product he needs to put out there. And as they said, AEW used to stand for All Elite Wrestling. Now it says like Acclaimed every Wednesday. Yeah, Tony, that's exactly what you should be doing with these two guys. And it just works. And you even texted me, you're like, I can't believe that Billy Gunn is involved in two like the biggest gimmicks, how many years apart or whatever. And it's just so silly, but it gets over.
Yeah.
And it, like, you know what? I look at this guy.
Sorry. Do that again.
Yeah, you gotta keep that in.
Like, no, God, we're not keeping that in.
That's a great soundbite right there. But he's just a great heater for them. Like big badass dude looking out for these guys. And man, I loved every moment of it, man. I really did. It's one of the best segments I've seen on this show. It took 3 years to get there, but man, it was organic. The crowd, they can't wait to scissor each other.
Every time I hear scissoring, I think of that one episode of South Park.
You want a scissor?
Scissor me, Timbers, Janet. When the recently turned female Mrs. Garrison, discovers lesbians and a club called Le Beau, spelled Lesbos, and the women would fornicate by scissoring together. So that's what I always think about, but they turned it into something pure, which is nice.
Yeah, and it's totally over, and you have the whole AEW community scissoring each other. When Caster turned it into a Sunday church service and is asking people to the left and to the right to scissor each other, my God, this is so smart and it's just great, man. They deserve all the honestly, I want to see FTR as far away from them as possible right now. Make FTR and make you want to have your Ring of Honor show, Tony Khan. Make sure FTR is out there every week, but keep them away from the Acclaimed.
And then you can have them have a babyface match, but you have to build FTR. You have to put FTR on TV and have them defend those titles and make those titles just as relevant, or attempt to make those titles just as relevant as the AEW titles. Yeah. You can build it that way, but it can't happen now. You got to keep them away from each other.
Yeah.
You fucked up. The chance you could have had FTR have those titles when the Bucks had it back in the spring.
Exactly.
Fucked it up. It's over.
Yeah. Moment's gone. Even I would say, don't even consider FTR the number one in the rankings if they even matter anymore, whatever the case is.
I don't even know. I actually went on there and checked their rankings.
I saw that in your article.
And if you check out my article on the everydayfan.com professional wrestling section, I have a nice article on FTR.
It's excellent.
They actually had Swerve and Keith Lee as the tag champions on their website. Who the fuck is running your website? You are supposed to be $1 million company. A national broadcasted television program, an organization, and you have an outdated website like that doesn't even have the proper champions on there? That's like our website.
Seriously. It's like we're running it.
We're still talking. We still have Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes making his debut on WWE on our website. For Christ's sake. I mean, Jesus Christ, Tony. Pay me some money. I'll make sure the right champions are on there.
Yeah, you would have definitely hit that button.
Jesus Christ. How unprofessional can a company look at? And you're almost 4 years in existence now. It's time for this Mickey Mouse independent bullshit to be over. It really is.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally agree, but I gotta say, and I gotta give the Acclaim credit. I love how they're the homegrown guys. They can really push that. And just tremendous. Really great segment. I haven't seen something like that since something that, and I enjoy this even more than something that DX would do. Honestly. Like, and the thing is, like, where I compare it is like how the crowd reacted to DX. Totally into it, like, just obnoxious at that point. But the Acclaimed was not really so obnoxious. They were witty about it, and they spoke beautifully. It's great promos by both.
I agree. And again, it's something that just adds another layer to their character, because they were already over with the raps and the, whatever city the Acclaimed have arrived. You add the DADI'S to it. And that was ballsy to take him away from his kids and put him with the Acclaim. But here it is. And honestly, the most over member of DX right now is not going to be the guys that are going to be on Monday night. It's friggin' DADI'S. Scissor me, DADI'S.
Wasn't that great when Billy Gunn went and did the whole millions? And I was like, oh, we're going there, are we, Mr. Gunn?
Billy Gunn has been a few times. He actually talked really glowingly. He and Rock had some fun. They actually did have one beef, but they squashed it, and they actually kind of buddies now. Hey, look, he wrestled The Rock several times, so feuded with him.
Yeah,
that's where, in fact, Rock came up with "It doesn't matter what your name is" on Billy Gunn. But my name's Billy. It doesn't matter what your name is. It was on a Sunday Night Heat. There, VLADI Daddy.
That's great memory about you, man. So, hey, continuing with this review, we had Hangman Page versus Roosh, where previous to this, we had some sort of weird promo or backstage thing with Roosh, and who's the assistant guy again?
Jose, the assistant.
Okay, yeah, he sucks, by the way, with Private Party.
I like Jose, the assistant.
Oh yeah, I couldn't even hear what Jose was saying. He's not even aware of like how microphones work. So, like, what was he saying to them at the end there? Like, I literally had to put closed captioning on to understand what he was saying.
He said that Private Party better get Roosh's back if he's needed.
Wow. Okay.
Something like that. Yeah. I'm paraphrasing.
And for some reason, I don't know why, but Andrade was not part of that segment. I'm still trying to figure that out.
Come on.
Like, where was he?
We know what happened. You know what happened.
So,
well, Vladdy Dottie, we can talk about it if you'd like.
It
is an elephant in the room. Why haven't we even brought it up? We've alluded to it.
Let's just quickly go through the rest of it, and then we'll bring it up because Mr.
Then
Guevara,
you want to talk. Oh, because then it's going to have its own segment. And all right,
I think it should because the way this show ended. So then you have Hangman versus Roosh. Don't Call Me Rush, and you had a situation really typical thing. And I hate to be a dick about this, but like whenever I see Roosh wrestle, you know what I can't get past? Whenever they have like a close-up shot on him, how much back acne this guy has.
I didn't notice, but I will notice now.
Yeah, just take a look.
You're gonna ruin his wrestling like you ruined Tony Schiavone for me, buddy.
Right, buddy. But yeah, like, and honestly, you and I've been around the block. We kind of know what that might be involving. So I'm like, built dude, back acne, that age. So, you have that match. Paige wins, and really, all this was like, let's get Moxley out there, and we finally get our little bit of a moment with Jon Moxley, AEW World Champion, going out there and confronting Hangman Adam Page. I love this promo by Mox. Love the way he talked. Love the way he was trying to get in his head. It was, and I gotta say this, slightly like CM Punk's approach during the infamous Hangman and Punk thing. I respect you. Like he went out of way. Like I admire you. Like he's like going that route with Hangman. But then he had no problem putting Hangman back in his place after Hangman decided to bow up to him. So, what were your thoughts about this part of it?
I think it was one of those things where Mox just continues to kind of build off what he's doing. Mm-hmm. I thought the match was basically to kind of give Hangman some credibility and a little bit more momentum because he hasn't really built any.
Nope.
So it's a way to kind of build that. I think you need a good promo from Hangman next week for me to really sell me on this match and what his motivation is other than just to be the world champion. The line, he said, "You're a sweet kid." The problem with the kids the kids around here is that they, talk too much and get in trouble, whatever, and get themselves in trouble. And it was poignant because there's been a lot of that in AEW. And it doesn't even necessarily have to be the younger crowd. He could be talking about people like CM Punk. He could be talking about Andrade even, to a certain extent. Certainly talking about Sammy Guevara. So,
and he was talking about Hangman.
He did call him a sweet kid, though, and he said he admired him. It was a little different than.
I took it as him like going a little bit into business for himself the one time.
Yeah, that could be part of it as well. That's the cool thing about the Moxley promos. It mean a bunch of things.
Yeah, and that's the way I'm like, wow. I'm like, he kind of, and you know what was weird? I don't know what he exactly said, but other than somebody sort of quoted it online because they ended up bleeping out part of it when I watched it.
Yeah, they wound up getting the line was the problem with you're a sweet kid, but the problem with kids around here is that they talk too much shit and they get in trouble, something like that, and it gets them in trouble. They run their mouth and talk too much shit. So he basically said the word shit, talking shit,
which is no longer a viable word on their broadcast.
Oh, I saw it live, so that's why I know how he said it. So I guess it's not. I mean, we did hear rumors that the WB Discovery or whatever they're called, whatever the entity is called in general, Warner Brothers Discovery, I guess. Warner Discovery. What's it called? Mm-hmm. Discovery Warner Brothers?
Yeah, Warner Brothers Discovery. Yeah.
Well, Warner Brothers Discovery. I think Discovery should be first. Discovery, Warner Brothers. Like Discovery.
Yeah.
Relevant.
Well, they bleeped Jade Cargill saying shit last week, too.
Also, clearly there's been a change in their program.
Yeah.
So that's something to good notation there, Vladdy Dottie.
Yeah. And then next we had Luchasaurus against Fuego del Sol, the only luchador from Mississippi. And a great squash match we had there with Luchasaurus And basically what you had was Jungle Boy Jack Perry came out, proclaimed his love for Luchasaurus, my best friend, all that good stuff. And then Christian just basically told him pound salt, and we'll see you basically in Toronto, right?
That's right.
And then finally,
wasn't much to that. It was all right.
Yeah, it was like short and sweet. And then finally we had the tag team match with Bryan Danielson and Daniel Garcia, who could legitimately call themselves Daniel Bryan if they got together.
Is that what their names? That was the name of the team?
They should call themselves.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. 100%.
The new tag team, Daniel Bryan. And versus Jericho and Sammy Guevara. And as we get into this match, of course, Jericho and Guevara defeat Garcia and Danielson because why not? Jericho's always going to win. But what's most disgusting is that Sammy Guevara was actually able to wrestle in this match, in my opinion. The main event, wins it, and is carried off on the Jericho Appreciation Society's shoulders.
He did get the pin.
He got. That's what I said. He won the match, got the pin, and is being carried off, and that's one of the last shots.
Yeah,
Tony Khan, you've lost control, man.
No, I know. Look. Tony Khan clearly doesn't like Andrade. Tony Khan went on a stupid podcast, robbed something in his basement, his mother's basement, whatever the podcast is called. I actually don't think it's a bad podcast, but Tony Khan goes on that podcast fairly often. And he basically says Andrade's a terrible person. A lot of people wouldn't mind if he was at AEW. And then the fight happens or whatever happened. I mean, what I've heard mostly is Andrade basically picked a fight with Sammy. Sammy didn't fight back. Andrade got 2 punches in, and that's how it ended. And then it was broken up. So if Sammy didn't retaliate, that might be a big part of it, if that's what's true.
Right.
We heard from TMZ, which was what Meltzer was reporting was full-blown Andrade's side.
Yep.
What happened on TMZ was they got into blows, and they both got sent home. Well, I read that on Twitter. I think you sent it to me, but I also read it on Twitter as well. And they were still promoting Sammy Guevara in the main event. So I knew something wasn't 100% accurate there because they weren't sent home. Why would they still be promoting Guevara through the entire night?
Yep.
So I thought that was weird. Then Guevara was in the promo. Okay. I guess Guevara was certainly not sent home. You can't believe everything you read on TMZ.
Right.
Clearly was from Andrade's side because there were some inaccuracies, or was from somebody who didn't know what the fuck, and TMZ ran with it.
Yep.
I mean, it's TMZ.
Yeah, exactly.
So the reality here is that there was another altercation, but it was an altercation you could see a mile away from a Twitter beef on Tuesday.
Bingo.
These guys were feuding, saying some really when you go on Facebook and maybe back in couple years ago, you started politically arguing with people, and you would argue with people you loved or you were friends with, you'd never be angry with, and you argued with them and you just started clowning them. That's what this was. These two people were not pulling Andrade. Basically, what happened was Andrade called Sammy Guevara out on a podcast and said that, I'm paraphrasing, Sammy Guevara complained behind his back that Andrade hit Sammy too hard during their matches. And Andrade went to his face and he said they were cool, what have you. But he went behind his back and Andrade said, this guy's saying that to me when John Cena names 3 big WWE guys. Cena, Sheamus, and Miz specifically. It's like these guys have done what they've done and they never complain about me. But this guy who's just starting out complains about me.
Mm-hmm.
Which I get what he's saying. What is Sammy Guevara really?
Exactly.
However, Sammy Guevara has been in AEW since day one. He's been up until the last year. He was a big positive part of AEW. But now he has the issue with Eddie Kingston. He has an issue with whoever else. I think there was another issue that there was running around, and now he's having an issue with Andrade. Now, the other part of this are the NXT components that were brought out from NXT or some WWE components, have they brought part of this shittier morale and shittier work environment in AEW, because AEW was all rainbows and sunshine the first couple of years.
Well, I don't know if I would say they brought this shitty environment where, part of the environment is revolving around the way these guys have been booked too. And I would say that this is sort of adding to some of their frustrations and helping create this environment. Look at what Malachi Black started as and what he left as.
Yes.
Andrade came in with some hype, and then, I don't know, he's playing with Private Party half the time.
I think Andrade actually, I actually like what he's been booked. He's been in some great matches. I have not minded what Andrade's been doing. He has, for whatever reason, I don't think Andrade's been bad. Yeah, he's been doing some things that haven't been great, but he's certainly being used a hell of a lot more than he was in WWE. I don't know if he wants to necessarily go back to WWE either. This might be a thing where he wants just to not be locked in an AEW.
Perhaps, but my problem is, and with this, the way Tony Khan handled it, and you mentioned it earlier, is that we saw this coming a mile away on Tuesday. You already had the Eddie Kingston issue with Sammy. Let's call that one strike. Going into a Wednesday night, live TV, your 3rd anniversary show, and that there's even a chance of this happening. The fact that Tony Khan is not getting involved personally, or saying Arn Anderson or Dustin Runnels or whoever he really respects or these wrestlers respect, got both those guys on the phone there to come to my office directly. And I have Wardlow, Brian Cage, the scariest MFers in that locker room, waiting, and basically lay down the law for both of them and be like, listen, we're not going to be conducting personal business on Twitter here anymore.
Yeah.
Right? Like you went and gave each other your public beefs and didn't even promote the show at all. Okay, so you're putting yourself above this product, and I'm this close to suspending both of you. And if they still want to continue with it, then okay, you're not going to be wrestling tonight, either one of you. He's got to draw the line in the sand, but he sort of he backs off. He doesn't want to get involved in it. He's in a very, how can I put it? He's in a very macho environment. He has got to go and realize that he is the bank. He's the reason they are there. And he has support there. He has Paul White. Who's going to mess with Paul White? Like, seriously. Like...
Scale.
Yeah, don't give him a manual scale. But you know what I'm saying here, man.
You guys didn't have a digital scale, damn it. But doesn't know how to use one of those scales, though, if you're an adult.
But like you understand what I'm saying. There are guys that are there, Mark Henry, other dudes that they can go and rely on that. Like, you know what? Andrade would respect and or be afraid of. Sammy would be respect and or be afraid of. My God, sign Undertaker, not even to wrestle, but just sit in the locker room. Have him.
I'm sure the Undertaker would be banging down the door. Here, let me be a babysitter of a bunch of dudes who I hate.
Tony's got that much money.
He's never going to do that to Vince. Actually, Vince isn't around. And Triple H.
Yeah.
He fucked up the Undertaker a few times.
They did. Bad blood there. But but you get my point, man. And I just think we all saw this coming a mile away. And when I saw the TMZ report and just everything else that was kind of going on, I'm like, I cannot believe they even got close enough to even have punches thrown.
And who's the locker room leaders here to say, hey, guys, keep it professional? And this is the kind of environment, though, that if it happens all the time, Tony, who's in charge here?
Right.
Because it's not you, bud.
It's not.
This is almost like it's similar to Bischoff toward his end. And I know Bischoff's like, I had 3 million people watching my show. I also walked out of my company when they needed me the most. And I also got fired before SmackDown even started because he knew how bad I was at my job. But either way, Tony Khan's starting to look like Bischoff. He's starting to remind me how Bischoff acted. He made it more about himself. He started being unprofessional and saying just ridiculous things in the media. Tony Khan needs to reel it in. It was easier to root for AEW when Cody Rhodes was being the guy who was talking about when he was the spokesman of the company.
Yeah.
It really was.
Yeah, and you know what, too? It's like AEW had an advantage when they first started. It was the anti-Vince company. It was involving the boys, if you will, and it gave them the chance to give everybody a different type of a different option. Let's just put it that way, right?
Absolutely. Alternative.
And yeah, and Tony was sort of in the background. We knew that there was money in there, like Shad Khan and then here, his son Tony. And then over time, we've gotten to know Tony a little bit and realize, like, okay, Tony might be a nice guy and all, but he's actually got quite a bit of money, and he's not necessarily managing this right. And that's where
he must be losing a fortune. He really must be.
He's probably bleeding quite a bit in terms of finances at this point.
It's like he has real wrestlers as dolls. I like Bandito. I'm going to get that one too. It's like he actually has action figures, but they're actual human beings that he can pay because he has that much fucking money.
Yeah.
Man, I'd really like to get a Seth Rollins doll. I mean, wrestler. Seth Rollins. We'll call him Tyler Black. I love it.
I love Paige. She was in that movie. Can I get her, Dad?
Tony, it's just he doesn't look. He's not instilling. It's just another notch in the. Does Tony really know what he is doing? He goes on Twitter and says he's going to be the booker of the year. There's 3 months left.
I hate that.
Like he's so in about himself. He's becoming very much a narcissist. And Tony, you're a mark. You're a nerdy fucking mark that has a shitload of money. And by the way, you helped change professional wrestling for the better, and no one is taking that away from you. But now it's time. If you don't keep moving forward, you start to die and you start to get stagnant. And when you are in the entertainment industry and you start to do that, oftentimes, if you don't have a lot of revenue in the bank account of people trusting you and loving your brand, and you're only 3 years in your television show, you don't have that equity with your audience, they're going to turn off real quick.
Yeah.
And you're only going to be drawing 750,000, 800,000. And they might be diehards. And they do have 800,000 people that are going to watch every single week, no matter what.
Yeah.
But that's it. And you're not doing anything to make that number more.
I mean, if I was Tony, I'd be like, listen, how do we grow this audience consistently where we have 1.5 almost or 1.8 million people eventually watching this? What do I have to do that where I can grow on this foundation and start getting different sets of eyes on this?
I don't think he cares. It's almost like he cares about what he thinks is cool wrestling, and he doesn't. I don't think it's seemingly he does not give a shit. He doesn't even necessarily care what the fans want, because the fans want to see Miro. They want to see FTR. They want to see guys like that. They wanted to see Brian Cage. And he said, fuck you, you're not getting him.
Yeah. It's true.
Oh, I know. Great, he's going to sign Bandito. Great, we'll see him on TV once a month. If that. So it's something that I'm getting concerned with as well. I wasn't quite as negative as you were, and I certainly wasn't quite as doomsday speaking as you are. And I still probably am not. But at the end of the day, I'm starting to really get concerned with Tony Khan's actions, his words, and his lack of action when people are clearly making him look silly. And one point I want to bring up, the AEW World Championship's had a rough year. And the reason it's had a very rough year, Hangman did not have a great reign at all. His biggest feud was with Adam Cole in between winning it and losing it. And that feud was had a lot to be desired. Let's be honest. And also he was playing a back seat to CM Punk and MJF. So Hangman didn't really carry the torch that brightly. Then Punk wins. He gets hurt right away. And then you have an interim championship. That made it weak. Punk comes back, loses in a squash match with some really weird, stupid booking. Loses a squash match to Jon Moxley. Jon Moxley loses it 10 days later, back to Punk, who then has to get rid of it because he went nuts and was an asshole and he got hurt again. CM Punk is the biggest culprit here, but that title has been run ragged for the first 9.5 months of this year. And you're hoping Moxley has a decent reign here, but you just can't break the feeling MJF is going to win this title sooner than later. Is there a possibility they drag it out to May even? I don't know. But at the end of the day, this title has really taken a beating, and I'm hoping it can get that prestige back again, because it's never been bigger than when it was on Kenny Omega. It was fine on Moxley and it was great on Jericho. But ever since Hangman won, and then all the stupid shit that happened with your boy CM Punk, it really has lost a lot of prestige in my eyes.
So what do you think is the best course of action to get that belt to be prestigious again? Keep it on Mox or put it on MJF?
I would keep it on Mox for a little while, at least till winter is coming. So it could be a little bit more of just a transitional period. And Mox has a couple of really good title defenses. I like the fact that they're putting Hangman in front of him. Give him some really good quality contenders that are at the top of the card in AEW and have him lose. That's fine. Have Brian Cage fight for the world championship, or have, Miro fight for the world championship. Have Moxley have some real awesome title defenses, and then MJF springs on him when he can. But you can draw this out literally to 6 months from now. The way MJF is making it out, it's almost like a Money in the Bank. Yeah, MJF might be, he's the kind of character that can bite his time, and Mox can go on defending the championship and having a pretty good championship run. And then you give it to MJF, and boom, all of a sudden you have him go crazy with it. And then your championship means something again.
Yeah, they really got to, I agree with that. They do have to reestablish it, because it's not like it's been through hell and high water, man. And it's they definitely have to do something different here in terms of not being like so quick to like just play a hot potato thing with it. I think you're correct with maybe keeping Moxley with it a little bit longer.
That was a Punk thing too, I bet you.
What?
That whole losing the match and then having the big talk with his get his mentor on television, give another guy, one of his friends, a break.
I read I read that was Moxley's idea.
Well, I think the squash match was Moxley's idea.
Yeah.
But I think the whole idea of having Ace Steel and that whole vibe, that was the big part. That was the big part of that. I think that was big Punk stuff.
Well, yeah, they probably sat and collaborated. Okay, I'll get squashed, but then what do? I'm in Chicago without the belt, and they're probably like, okay, you're down and out. Like, how do we get you back into this? And then, Mox is like, I'll be jobbing in Chicago after that, so we have to like bridge us by a week.
That was stupid. It was bad booking. If you were gonna let Punk have the title anyway, Mox just sucked it up and took the loss.
Yeah.
Oh well. I mean, he's a pretty good. I like Mox, so I'm not gonna complain. He's probably a good human being. I don't think he cares winning and losing, but there had to be a reason why he didn't want a job to Punk. There had to be a reason that he didn't want to just flat out job.
You know what? I don't know if that was maybe like a favor in some ways, because here he held the interim title, and listen, if I was him, I wouldn't like the interim title as well. I'd want to be the world champion, and if he carried that torch for that long while Punk was injured, maybe they agreed to do each other a solid there. And again, I'm not trying to justify it. It is what I don't agree with it either, but I'm just trying to understand why.
Yeah, I'm with you.
That route,
Oh, I got you. So, look, AEW another week over 1 million. I know you said that their 14 to 49 was the lowest since August 17th. It's only. I'm not too concerned about it. Still over 1 million's a win for them.
And again, they have to question each other. Or Tony's got to ask, why was it over 1 million?
Because Andrade beat up Sammy Guevara.
I think it's because of the Acclaimed.
Scissor me, Vladdy.
And
you gotta get that shirt made. Scissor me, Vladdy.
And then that was trending evidently on Twitter. Great way to use that. Everybody's checking in to see what they're going to have to say. I think those guys definitely were a big reason why.
By the way,
yeah,
Max Caster is extraordinarily progressive. So he doesn't talk politics, but I know it's politics. So there's that.
I loved how he turned it into that as well in Washington, D.C. Like, trying to unite everybody. I'm like, this is like great.
And it was nice, and it was a joyous moment in pro wrestling. And what the hell's wrong with that? So good job for the Acclaim. And again, you're right. They're homegrown. They're the most winningest tag team in AEW. These are guys that really stuck to the grindstone despite being on Dark every fucking week. That's where they made their living, was on Dark.
Yeah.
These guys literally came from Dark, worked their way up amongst giants within this tag division, and they have become the standards. Certainly a much more entertaining team than Swerve and Lee. No offense to them. I thought they were okay champions. They had great matches. But I never really cared about their story, unfortunately. I think it's going to be a lot better when Swerve turns heel finally.
He could be a really good heel.
Oh, he's going to be a great heel. He already is.
Yeah. There's something about him. I'll give him that. Keith Lee, I'm not sure what the hell's going on there, man.
Oh, you don't like him because he's fat.
Yeah, I know. I got something against fat guys.
Me too.
Yeah.
So, anyways, that's all we got for this week. What else you got, VLADI? That's all I had.
That's pretty much what
talking pro wrestling's getting good.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I had too. It was good to get our picks in and also touch base about Dynamite. And you know what? We have Extreme Rules this weekend, so I'm just really hoping that we see some sort of sign of Bray Wyatt, either in person or some sort of confirmation that he is about to return.
One pill makes you smaller. Another pill makes you large, and that's blue.
I've been listening to that vocals only track like at least once a day, and I love her voice on it. Yeah, it is creepy, but man, hell of a song.
Makes you remember being back at some Cannon Paloozas where we're dropping some Bloody Dotty mushrooms, huh?
I don't remember any of that, actually.
All right.
Love
Cannon knows what's up. So it was fun though. But that's all we got for this week, folks. Hey, Bloody Dotty, we have one match different. I picked Seth Rollins. I might be burned here. That's the only match we got different. AEW getting viewers, maintaining viewers, but is it a train without a driver right now? Or no, it looks like it that way. Hey, but we're going to get back at it. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to High Spots and Cheap Pops. For VLADI Dotty, this is Silicon Steve Alley. We want to thank you for joining here on High Spots and Cheap Pops as we talk about professional wrestling with you. Here, we say, here endeth the lesson. Thank you so much, folks. We'll talk to you later. I'll do it. If you like what you see, hit the subscribe button. Follow us on Facebook. And of course, follow Silicon Steve Alley at Silicon Valley on the Twitter. And ladies and gentlemen, check us out, VLADI Dotty, and his thoughts on our Facebook. We will talk to you guys very soon. Thank you so much here on High Spots and Cheap Pops. That'll be like an outro.